Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you back. It is. It's cool.
That's good.
It's, you know.
You know, I'd hate for it to be otherwise.
Well, you can bugger
Make
off
this
now.
really, really bloody awkward.
Well, it is. It is, especially if you're just going to be contrary about things, but we don't need to be.
Just spend the day for it, you know?
Yeah.
My bad.
It's been a weird sort of a day, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think it's the weather.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so we're recording this in the
Nearly
first week
mid-November.
of November.
7 days in.
And it will come out, I think, around about December.
Yeah.
And you know, it'll be different then.
Yeah,
you know,
mid-December.
we'll be in sunshine. We'll
You'd
be
hope.
in the. I hope, Lord, do I hope. Yeah, but we should be in sunshine and humidity and needing to go for a swim after work every day because it's just disgustingly hot.
Or during work.
Or during work, if you can do it, highly recommend it.
Langs Beach, here I come.
Oh yeah, dude, so jealous right now. Very cool. Man, Ash Ellis.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this was an experience.
Yeah. Talk about doing a lot of different things before getting to art.
I know. But it was interesting because I think I posed that question to her because she's had such, you know, she's got like these sort of core things that she's done that kind of makes sense, but then she had this other one that was kind of left field.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I saw it as left field, and she was like, "No, you actually bring it in this way." So all of the things that she's done, I understand how they've led her to art.
Yeah, I guess so.
And like, she was very gracious enough to give me this, which is cool. Actually, I'll throw it up on
Now tell us what it says on the back, Mark.
It says Taurus, and that's all that matters, because that's my star sign. And if you turn it around, I know that is the Taurus symbol.
Indeed,
because it's the bull. Because we're full of shit. And she had done this, and hard to believe she said it wasn't a favourite of hers. She just didn't like it.
I mean, of course, like I have tracks that I fucking hate.
Yeah. Like, and that was, you know, we didn't touch on it, but it was interesting because as artists in general, there's times where anything we do, we're not going to go, man, that's 100%.
No, well, I bet Green Day has a lot of songs they hate.
Yeah, you're going to look at like a whole bunch of artists. I mean, you know, not all of them are going to be home runs.
No, not at all.
Some of them are going to fall short at the first base.
And most, I guess, going back to music, most artists hate their sophomore album.
Oh, the second one? Yeah.
Oh, no, it's just, you kind of get this boost off releasing something, and then you try and follow that up too hard, and you lose track of what you're actually about.
Yeah.
I think 660 did that hard.
Yeah, you write that first album, and you've had like years to write it, right?
Yeah.
And you've road tested it, and you've gigged it, and you know, you go, first album, solid songs. We've had like 2 years or however long it is to work on it, and then it's like, we've got to do we just come off, and we've now got to do this next album. You've got 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Pressure.
Yeah, that sucks. How are you meant to... Yeah, I don't understand that. It's stupid.
No.
So glad I never got signed.
So...
Sign me.
So... OBC looking for labels.
At OBC NZ.
There you go. And I just thought this was really cool. It's super original. And, you know, she was such a blast to talk to. And, man, did we cover off some stuff. We kind of went all around the roadmap. Yeah,
you definitely did.
Yeah.
It was quite cool to listen in on. So.
Yeah, and, you know, it was so weird. I had... I know you weren't here for it, but I think Editor Rocky was when we did Tama Hemara.
Mm-hmm.
And...
I edited it, so I did.
You edited it, yep. So me butchering those names of the artists, I just felt...
Galimatias. Galamantis.
Yeah. One of the artists who like Galifianakis. I felt so out of my depth again. And it was just, for me, those are often the most fun podcasts where I really have no point of reference whatsoever because that's when I learn the most.
Yeah.
And it makes me sound like an idiot, which is always fun, right? It's always good where people can watch or listen. They'll be like, listen to that guy.
Okay. This guy's a fucking rookie.
Yeah, this guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. Do some research. But that's the thing, we come into these things and
That's what the platform's for.
It is.
Discovery.
It is exactly. It's all about a journey of discovery, and we all go through it together, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And now, without further ado, let's have that discovery. Let's sit down and have a conversation with Ash Ellis. Ash Ellis.
G'day.
Hi. Welcome to the Five Elements Media Studio. Thank you for coming in and sitting down with me for the Northland Artists Conversation. This is really cool.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Honestly, you're kind of one of those artists that we were looking at securing a podcast with quite early on. So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? I know, and that's we love getting as diverse range of people in. So thank you very much for coming in. It's appreciated.
You're welcome.
So you've been very kind and very gracious, and you've brought in some art with you today, and you've got your a little extra box of art down there, which we've all sort of had a bit of a sneaky look through. It was very cool. These are, if we go to the wide on this one, they're very. Yeah. They're very interesting. Now, as someone, who I can't draw, paint, sculpt, really write to save my life. If Satan was to appear and say, Mark, you will save Earth and your soul if you do this wonderful painting, I'll be like, well, that's a bugger. Where did this love of art for you come from? Take me all the way back. How did you first get into art? And were you always an artist, or did you start with something else?
Okay, well, going all the way back isn't going too far. Like 2020 lockdown, the first one.
Okay.
I was like in quite a remote setting, out on the coast in a bush with not in a bush, but like in the forest.
Yeah.
With my ex and his like crazy mum. And so I was like, right,
the crazy
there's
mum.
some pretty hectic emotions flying around here. Better do something with them.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what to do at that point because I had no reception. So I started drawing with a ballpoint pen just on scraps of paper. And the stuff I was drawing, I was like, whoa, this is what I'm feeling. I could like see it in the pictures.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that feels very good. And it was like helping me understand like how to get through those gnarly emotions visually. It was like reflecting myself back to me in these images. And I was like, okay, this is like learning about myself, and it was helping me soothe the feelings. And then that was just illustrating ballpoint pen on paper. And then I came across black pens that I could use from Warehouse Stationery, and they were like really nice. And I'd had hundreds of drawings before the end of the first lockdown.
Yeah.
And then I created an Instagram page and started putting them up. Had real good feedback, and I was like, oh, people feel these too. It's not just me, because like we've the universal feelings, everyone has them.
Yeah,
and people
absolutely.
were tuning into that, and I was like, epic. And then I just, once all the lockdowns were done, was in my flat and got a big canvas and just started playing around with a gouache set that I ordered off the internet.
A what now?
Like gouache, it's a medium, kind of like
Wash. What? I've never heard of what. What is wash, please?
Gouache.
Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
gouache.
Yeah.
G
Like
W.
giraffe. Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
right. What is gouache?
It's kind of like, depending on the amount of water you add to it, it can be watercolor or acrylic. So if you add lots of water, it's quite translucent.
Yep. Quite viscousy, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
And so then I had some of that to play with, all these different colours. And then obviously the colours allow you to be a bit more expressive and explore more like feelings and stuff. But I had no idea how to paint. I was just playing. And then I ended up leaving that relationship and coming back to Whangarei and left everything behind to some degree. And Mum was trying to get me out of the house because I was a bit depressed. And she took me to the Quarry Art Centre. And I was like, cool, there's nature here, this can help me. And then as I was walking through the gravel path, I felt this real strong like pull to go into a studio that was in there. And I walked in and there was this man sitting behind the desk, and it was Mike McCarthy. And he just...
Oh, right.
You know him?
Yeah,
Yep.
I know Mike.
Yep. And so we just started chatting, and then he's like, oh, can I see some of your work? Because I mentioned I was doing doodles and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, these are pretty sick. And I was like, thanks. He's like, I'm willing to mentor you if you want. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa, okay. It was like at that point in my life, I was like, it was almost like salvation-y.
Yeah,
that kind of level
yeah.
of intensity of what that
Yeah.
moment was. And I was like, wow, okay, epic, okay, yes. And then I was doing weekly lessons. He was teaching me how to paint. I was bringing in paintings I was doing at home, and he was being like, I would do this to make it better, or do this, like have your horizon line straight, it makes it feel so much better. Like all these
Okay.
obvious seeming things that you just don't think about. And then I was appearing around and around the quarry more, and I got a studio, Bunker 2, right next to him, and it was like for a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, and I filled the whole walls with all of my art. I was like painting a day, like just trying to practice heaps. Yeah, and then I got a longer term studio there, and now I've like shaved my life around a bit, so I'm only working 1 or 2 days a week, so I can pay for my studio rent and just like paint full time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's the dream.
Yes. So doing
Focus on the art more than having to survive.
Yes.
Very cool.
And then I met my second mentor, Helen Hughes, before she passed, and she threw a clump of clay in front of me. We like had this vibe from the get-go, and she said, do something with it. And I was like, all right. So I just started like feeling what the clay felt like and how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And I made a mushroom, and she was like looking at it. She's like, she always was very like romanticized the work that her students made. She was really for the work no matter what it was.
That's
and
very cool.
It
though.
was like fire.
How
It was
incredibly
cool.
supportive.
Yes, yeah. And then yeah, I hung out with her, ended up being like every day, and I'd go around and like clean her house and stuff for her, and she was just like, yeah, it was real cool. So yeah, and then she passed, and that was a bit rough, but when I'm working with clay now, I can feel Helen in a way.
Yeah,
It's quite in
yeah.
a spiritual sense.
Yeah, because obviously
Yeah.
she was the one that provided you with that impetus, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, now, I want to see if I've gotten this right.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously you're quite young. We don't need to know the age, but younger than myself.
24, yeah.
24, okay. And you said that this all kind of started 2.5 years ago, first lockdown. Prior to that, had you ever done art?
No. So
So
it was
like not in primary school or intermediate
I mean,
or
like
high
the classic
school?
art, like, well, here's a piece of paper, everyone draw your cat or something. Like, it was just the regular
So
school
the
stuff.
standard stuff.
I wasn't choosing a subject being like, I want to do art. You know what I mean?
What
Yeah.
did you study at school then?
Well, I did English, maths, biophysics, chem, and PE because I was like, that's the best thing you do to get a good job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
So you were really set on the academic path.
yeah, yep.
And then,
And then-
lockdown.
Well, I was
Lo-
at uni, so I went to uni after high school.
Really?
Yep. And then I just
This is
finished
fascinating.
in the last 2 weeks. I just finished my second degree. So
Congratulations. What did you
thanks.
get?
I don't know. I haven't got the grades back yet. So
Do you know, the degrees. What are your degrees?
Well, I'm doing Bachelor of Science, studying fluvial morphology, which is the movement of water through landscapes.
Fluvial
Fluvial morphology.
morphology.
Fluvial water morphology, changing landscape.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool,
Okay.
it's cool.
Wow.
And then in Bachelor of Arts, majoring in criminology. So it's like the human psychology with also the environmental stuff. Because those were my only interests coming out of school that I was like, I could further study this. And
Are we
find
talking
interest.
like criminology?
Yeah.
People that are watching or listening, they're going to reference criminology from like TV series and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, do you want to know the reason I got into crim?
Oh yes, go.
Okay, so I was like, right, I'm out of school. I've worked for 2 years now because I don't want to go to uni and study something I'm not interested in. So I was
Yes.
waiting for the inspiration. And then I watched Mindhunter, that criminal psychology.
Is that
and
the
I
David Fincher one?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
And
that's so good.
I saw that and I was like, right, that's what I want to do. right, I've got something to go to uni for now. So I enrolled in criminology and psychology.
It was an amazing show.
It was fantastic.
2 seasons.
Yeah, the first season was the best, I think.
Yes, definitely. I absolutely agree. I really enjoyed it because I enjoyed the watching the relationships between the actors that were playing the FBI people trying to figure it out and the people they were interviewing who were horrific monsters.
Yeah.
And the guy, the really big tall guy with the glasses that they interview quite a lot. I've forgotten his name. I'm usually really good with serial killer names. There is nothing wrong with me or with that either. But he was really good. The second season focused on like Charles Manson and stuff like that, the really typical ones. But yes, I know love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love, because Criminal Minds for me was kind of my gateway. There's something like 15 seasons long, and let's be honest, after 15 seasons of any show, they're not all going to be winners.
Yep.
But 2 seasons of Mindhunter, I would say almost every episode was an absolute banger.
Yeah.
So wow, Mindhunter got you into that.
It was inspiration enough. Yeah.
Far out. So you go, screw it, I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go study.
Don't have to work anymore. Yes, I can do 3 years at uni.
Where did you go? Auckland?
Auckland, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And then as I was coming to the end of my second year, I was like, 1 year to go, then I have to figure out what to do with my life. So I was like, I'll just enroll in another degree, and that extends it out for another couple years. And that's when the fluvial morphology came in.
Yeah.
And then lockdown hit halfway through that process, and that's when I found art, and I was like, whoa, now I know what I want to do.
Oh, wait, so you were in the middle of uni?
Yes. Yeah, I was doing it online the first, COVID.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah.
What, just out of curiosity, how was it studying, essentially, when it's, because I imagine a lot of those classes are sort of quite practical?
Labs, they found a way to do it. They had no choice. But I liked it because I could do what I wanted all day, and then all the lectures suddenly were recorded, so I could just cram all the lectures in at the end of the week. 1 day for uni. Yeah. 4 days or 6 days for doing what I want to do, and that was fantastic.
Yeah. And that's obviously where you discovered your interest, love. What are we calling it?
Savior.
Your savior of art.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And obviously, for a lot of artists, I'm sure that they will. A lot of them will speak about this. When they initially start, or as their journey sort of goes, a lot of art can come from a lot of personal experience. So going through the hardships or the trials the challenges. That's the word I'm searching for. Of being in the bush. Yeah. With even admittedly with someone that you were seeing at the time, and the mother, their mother, dun 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 dun, is quite and with a worldwide lockdown, something that we haven't seen in my lifetime, and I'm old. Yes. Would have been just absolutely unparalleled. And do you feel that those sort of factors kind of are what kick-started this art saviorship?
I guess to some degree, yes. Yes, definitely, because it was quite a heavy feeling, and I was kind of tuning into what all my friends were going through, and everyone suddenly locked down. All the extroverts I know being like, whoa, this is real weird, and then having to try and support them a bit. And I was just becoming more hyper aware of how it was impacting people at a larger scale. And then I was like, this is actually global. This is quite a big energy shift that everyone's having to adapt to. Yeah, so I suppose.
Okay. So we go through 18 months worth of in lockdown, out of lockdown, in lockdown, out of lockdown. And you kind of come out of that, and then you sort of move into the space where you're at the Quarry Art Centre with your studio, right?
Yeah.
How does that? I've always been really interested to know, and it's passion for acting and music, and you don't really do this when you're sort of in those disciplines, but when you're around a big collective group of people, excuse me. and you've all got the same unified goal, which is
Yes.
creating new art.
Yeah.
Do you find that sort of informs a lot of your choices, or does that drive you to be better or focus or experiment?
I wouldn't say it fuels the decisions I make in art or like the stuff I produce, but more it's the energy of being surrounded by the hills of the quarry in this space with other artists who are choosing to devote their lives to making art. Like it's almost like a bit of a team, you know what I mean? Like we all understand this importance of what we're doing, and just choosing to do that full time is very cool.
You talked about your first mentor.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that mentor-mentee relationship and how that developed. I'm always very interested in that as well.
Okay.
Because obviously he met you and you were just doing stuff, and it was cool.
Yep.
And he's obviously helped you with understanding principles, right?
Yes.
But how has that relationship grown and evolved in your artwork? And can we see that evolution in some of the art?
Yeah. So he's a tonalist landscape painter, so oil painter as well.
A tonalist?
Yeah. So tonalism is honestly, I don't even know if I can say. Don't quote me on this, but from what I remember, tonalism is what technique the old master painters used to do.
Right.
And it's working with the middle tones. So you're not going for like super like light tones or super dark tones. You're working with the middle tones and trying to like get the play of like sunrise or sunset, those times of day. It's very like dark silhouette-y things with very beautiful bright golden skies and evoking this feeling of like graceful awe or wonder. That's the kind of vibe.
Okay, yep.
So he's taught me how to oil paint, like how to use the paints. I'm still obviously like learning a lot all the time.
Yep.
But apart from like constantly encouraging me, being like, yes, you've got talent, Ash, like this is fantastic, you're meant to be doing this. He's taught me how to do things like make a nice natural green by mixing black and yellow instead of like blue and yellow. You know what I mean? It's just simple things like this. And then for me, I like to tune into the colours that I'm using and how they make me feel and how they respond to one another and the characters in my pieces and how it creates like this whole, it feels like a dance that I'm doing with the paintbrush and the colours. And he's like helped me find the fluency in that manner of speaking.
Is there one piece that you've brought today that sort of best demonstrates that dance? I'm very, very interested because I'm sure people that are watching on YouTube would be interested to see a piece that you're sort of referencing, or that colour dance.
I'll say that one because it's here.
Okay.
And it's kind of recent. But so I always start with the background because it just makes sense when you're painting.
I'll hold this one up so people can get a
Okay.
bit of a better look at it.
So
Okay.
this one's called Spiritual Warfare. Another thing that I should mention is I'm an astrologer, so a lot of my observations of like where the planets are and the energies that are incoming and coming through my paintbrush are like reflected in the pieces, and I date my works by where the current planets are in the sky, so you can see the energy of the painting. But e.g. the blue background and the dusty yellow floor, I've got the bright vibrant like chromas, like the bright yellows against the dark blue, and then you go down to the lighter blue and you have the like darker reds which kind of contrast, and everything has got to kind of be equal and opposite but be harmonious with each other.
So they're kind of counterpoint, but they're also balanced at the same time.
It's like when I'm doing the process, it's like what color feels right. That's pretty much what it is. And then when I try and articulate it, it can be a bit more like, it's getting a bit fuzzy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's funny. This is, I think, probably out of all the pieces that you've bought, this is probably one of the coolest ones because the colours are very, like I wouldn't have gone blue and yellow or blue and red. They're very strong contrast colours, like on the colour wheel. It's
overt.
it's like here's one colour, it's like almost here's the complete opposite of how they look. So some very, very interesting choices. I look at that piece and I go, that could be in the outback.
Interesting.
And I say that from a not being an artist at all.
Yeah.
But it's just that that you've got that very open sky and what look like the outback desert there. So just people.
I feel like because Salvador Dali is obviously an influence, and
Yes,
he
that's a yeah.
and so I've riffed off of a lot of his like grounds, like below the horizon line, and he does a lot of those earthy kind of darker to light on the horizon to like draw the eye through, and there's just the colours he's used. I've riffed off his colours a bit.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put this one back down. Now, Salvador Dali. Interesting artist. Big moustache. What?
They found his remains and his moustache was still intact.
I would hope the same with Tom Selleck and the Magnum PI stash as well. That thing is legendary. What are the more famous works of Dali?
I couldn't tell you the names, but I can see them in my head, which isn't very helpful. Yeah.
Is he the Munich Scream?
Do you know the persistence of memory with the melting clocks? Could be a quite obvious
Melting
one.
clocks.
There you go. That's the one everyone knows.
Yep, the guys in the studio are nodding, going, yep, we know the melting clocks. Okay, so he's that guy.
That's that dude, yeah.
Right, okay. Melting clocks.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Your influences.
Yes.
Now, you've... I'm gonna say the word eclectic.
Yep.
Criminology. Astrology.
Wait, when you say eclectic, do you mean like broad ranging?
Like very
Random?
my influences when I write music is metal.
Okay.
I'm an old white guy that likes metal. Although recently producer Andrew has started exposing me to some of the more cooler things of hip hop. Thank you for sending me that link, by the way. That was awesome. But like I sort of have quite a very, I wouldn't say narrow-minded sort of view, but it's you've got the topics that you're interested in are very diverse.
Right.
There's the word I was searching for, diverse. So you had your journey and you studied criminology. And then you just said you've studied astrology.
Yeah.
But then you're inspired by Dali, and you've got you're very much in tune with your surroundings and very, is spiritual the right word?
I would say
connected, spiritually connected.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can understand the astrology and the spiritual side of things being connected. Criminology just kind of is the one that's sort of a bit out of left field.
Do you want me to link it?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Well, criminology, think of larger societal reasons that lead people to do deviant acts.
Okay.
It comes from like trauma, right?
Right.
Historical trauma, which can then be intergenerational trauma.
Yes.
And the study of criminology is going through historical causes of trauma, which has led to intergenerational trauma, which has then been passed on to people who haven't been maybe overtly traumatized, but they've picked up what their parents have been traumatized by, etc., like back into the lineage. So what we learn about in this particular course was like rooted in colonization of New Zealand, and how that's led into contemporary systemic issues. So that was kind of the crux of that whole course that they teach us.
Right. Okay. I see. For me, when I think of criminology, I think of details and data and just crunching information, because
it's quite the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. It's like big themes. It's like essays, not details.
Oh, okay. So more sort of broad concepts.
Yes, like
as opposed to like real narrow, kind of tip of the knife type stuff.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
But
for,
then
for criminals.
Kind of.
You got the joke.
Give me a second. But then, that like study of the systemic trauma links into my personal study of astrology. So then it links this the university study with then my personal interests, and I can still take. It's not been like a waste going to uni, because now my attention has gone to very different interests. I've like taken what I can from that period of energy I've spent doing that uni stuff to help me in what I'm currently doing. So like trauma, systemic, and now trauma astrology, you can see where people can get help with healing in this lifetime.
Trauma astrology?
It's a part of someone's chart.
Really?
Yeah, Chiron. Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of trauma astrology.
Neither. I would call it evolutionary astrology.
Right, okay.
And it's just one of the things that you're like playing on is what is the trauma in this lifetime that you're working with to try and like evolve through. Yeah.
Northland Artists Conversation are incredibly proud to support the Quarry Arts Centre. Quarry Arts Centre, amazing place, located on Selwyn Ave in Whangarei. Such a wonderfully beautiful venue. They are an art gallery and they have some amazing exhibitions, and they also hold Te Kōwhai Print Trust as well. Another really, really cool artistic endeavour that's done as well. They will have different exhibitions and shows of all different types of medium available as well, and they're such a long-standing venue in the community as well. Highly recommend you checking them out. Fantastic place. Really, really cool to take the kids and family as well. So, Northland Artists Conversation, proud to support the Quarry Arts Centre. So, as someone who doesn't want to appear ignorant, I know astrology from the bits you read in the newspaper where it's like,
horoscopes.
I'm a Taurus,
Yeah.
and apparently I'm stubborn and a bit of a douche. Now, ignore what the guys in the studio will say. They'll agree with that. Both of them. They're shaking their heads, saying yes. What is the actual fundamental differences between what most people know astrology to be versus, well, let's be honest, what it actually is? Now, I know this is going to be a very broad question, of which we might go, I can answer this question, but it's going to take 25 minutes.
No, I'm going to simplify it.
Okay, cool. Good. Simplify it for someone like me, please.
Yeah, okay.
Because Mum used to read the horoscopes in the newspaper, and I was like, you're dumb.
Newspaper horoscopes, yeah. That's what most people associate astrology with.
Absolutely.
Which is, for me, sadness.
Oh, does that not bring you joy?
No.
There's no
no.
joy. No. You read a newspaper horoscope, you die on the inside a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, astrology.
Yes.
So at the moment of birth, the planets are where they are in the sky, and everyone gets a birth chart. So what you need to find your own birth chart is your time of birth, your date of birth, and your location of birth. Once you have your chart, you have your life displayed symbolically right in front of you using houses, zodiac energies, and planets. Okay. And what the astrologer's job is to... They know the language of astrology, they look at the chart, and they just see so much information about your life.
Yep.
And oftentimes people who come to an astrologer to get a reading are asking what they're here to do in this lifetime, what their main challenges are, what their strengths are that they can work with. You've got 12 different parts of your chart which have 12 different parts of your life, e.g. your relationship with yourself, relationships with forming values, the way you communicate with others and how you perceive others' communication. There's 12 different parts.
Okay, right.
Do you want to ask some questions to help me figure out what...
It's just...
Because I could talk about astrology for, I'm not kidding you, hours.
I guess if you were to sort of sum up astrology into something that was bite-sized for people that would help them understand. Because there is the newspaper stuff. Yes, there is the stuff that you see on, is it Coffee News? I think it's Coffee News.
Okay.
And then there is the astrology books that you can get. And then there's kind of all the overarching stuff about you can go see an astrologist and all of that sort of stuff. But to me, give me a little bit of leeway here.
Yep.
I'm going to try not to hang myself with this rope. Astrology works on, as you said, date, place, time,
Yes.
right? And the stars that are in the sky.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have predetermined aspects of your life,
Yes, I believe in predetermination because of this.
but not everything. Some, but not all. Or do you believe in all
I believe everything happens just as it's meant to.
for a reason?
Yes.
Like you are here
Yes.
on this podcast.
Walk in the path, just got to roll with it, surrender, and it's just going to play out just as it's meant to.
Okay. I have so many questions going through my head at the moment.
Great.
Right. Look, some of them relate to you and astrology, but some of them also relate to serial killers and astrology.
Yeah, there's a whole subfield of astrologers who focus on serial killers.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was probably going to be one of the questions I asked.
I don't know much about that.
Yeah. There's a good question.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you have choice and free will, or that you are just simply there to just go?
I believe that we feel like everything that we have is just choice and free will. And I feel like big landmark key moments in our life, e.g. like big serious breakups or like career progressions or even just revelations as to what one's career could be, these can be seen very clearly through the transits in relationship to your natal chart. But the free will aspect comes through from all of the lessons and wisdoms that you've attained up until the present, and you're just working with that information. But all of those wisdoms you've attained, all the information you've attained to work with and make your decisions from, that's been a result of previous transits as well, to give you that information.
Wow.
So do you kind of get what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, and hopefully the listeners and viewers will understand that as well. It's always nice when we can talk about, because we're here to talk about you, the artist, right? And astrology is part of...
It is my art.
I was going to say, it's part of what drives a lot of your works, right?
Yeah.
So the two are intrinsically linked.
Yes. Yeah.
So therefore it makes sense that we should talk about that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So when did you get into astrology then?
See, like, I can't remember.
Do we go
Like
way, like even
6
further?
years.
Wow.
Yeah, so
we're talking like high school sort of stuff.
last year Nah.
Yeah, nah?
Because I high school 2 years work and then 5 years study. So just before uni.
Just before uni?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It's been a while, yeah.
Do you remember the thing that got you into it?
I was also thinking about this earlier. I think because I started getting back in that time real into like Carl Jung, Alan Watts, Liz Green, who's a astrologer and psychotherapist, and I was real interested in psychotherapy as well and psychology. And I was like, I don't know, just trying to learn about myself. Like, I think I felt like a bit of a black sheep at the time, like following what everyone else was doing, and I was like, but what do I actually like? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like going into that inner self introspection, and then astrology just slipped in there somehow. I was probably like, oh, I'm an Aries, what does that mean? And then
From the newspaper?
No,
thank
just
God.
Google.
Yeah, okay.
It's even better than the newspaper.
Oh, Google. Google answers all.
Yes. What am I?
Now, I get the sense that you, through high school, you now please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but in high school you weren't one of these people that just had like a huge social circle of friends.
No.
Are we talking the polar opposite?
Everyone knew who I was.
Right.
And
Okay.
like I knew who everyone was.
Yeah.
But I had like 1-2 friends that we hung out on the back of the field, just like picking grass and chatting. Yeah.
So,
But I was house captain, so I was in an extroverted position.
Yeah, that's interesting. So an introverted, wait, an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
I think I got that around the right way.
Yeah.
So an introvert at heart.
Yeah.
But someone that did extroverted.
I just wanted to achieve really well. I wanted to be quite
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I was like,
Excellence.
yeah, I would like to attain that. So I did that. But yeah, I was running these assemblies, and I was like in my incorrect uniform and doing everything that a house captain should not be doing, I was doing, and all the teachers were on the edge of the hall looking at me, looking at each other like, why is she in this position? What have we done?
Yeah.
All the kids were like, yes, Ash, this is brilliant. I felt like I was creating some big changes. It felt momentous. But no, that was that.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what I'm picking is that as you're sort of going on, because when we're all teenagers, we all go on this glorious journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
We have this wonderful thing called puberty, which sucks. And you were kind of having that journey of self-discovery, and astrology kind of slipped in.
So that's when the spirituality came in the last year of high school, and that was changing my perceptions.
Right.
And then, I tried LSD for the first time in my last year of high school. That was at my high school ball, and I was meant to be running the dance, and that was a whole different kettle of fish. But since that moment, it helped me see things just slightly different. My perception altered, and I didn't... Yeah, what I cared about changed dramatically.
Now, we're just to make this clear, you're not saying taking drugs will change your perception on everything.
No, but it has the potential to.
But that's how it affected you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
If used with intentionality.
If used wisely.
Yes.
Don't go smoke a pound of meth and then expect a life-changing event.
No.
There will be one, but that'll end up with like you doing some dumb shit and then ending up in jail, which in itself is also a life-changing event. I'd like to point that out.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Yeah.
At the moment, my producers and editors are freaking out, very quietly going, what the hell has this devolved into? Producer Andrew's sitting there with his head in his hands going, can you just shut up? What has this devolved into? But that's a good thing. We never know where these podcasts are going to go. So, you know, you obviously had that experience at a very formative time as you're sort of going through that journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you've sort of come out of that going, I'm more in touch with my surroundings, who I am as a person.
Got into meditation, astrology, seeing like the suffering of people, feeling people's emotions more purely and being like, wow, I can see what you need right now. Just more like empathic, less judgmental.
Yep.
Just
okay, right.
More open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So open's a great word because it means you're allowing yourself to receive
more information all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How does that inform your art? Yay.
The astrology to the whole thing to the art. Well,
like being so open.
Okay.
How does that? Because I mean, so behind me we've got a couple of pieces, right? We've got a dude with, you know, if we were to look at it, you've got the dude with the red eye, and I'm just going to get out of the road for the shot. You got the dude with the third eye, the open chakra.
Yeah.
I think if you call it that way, and then above me we've got a dude playing with. Look, I'll be honest, I don't actually know what that one is, but that's pretty trippy in itself. So, as you've discovered all these things about yourself and being more open to the information that's coming to you, how does that inform your choices as an artist?
Okay, well, it's real peculiar because my first step of making art is picking up the pen and drawing on the wood or whatever I'm painting on.
Yeah.
I don't pencil it or anything. I don't have a plan. I have no idea what I'm going to draw. I just put the pen on. I start with an eye, always draw an eye first, and then from there a character forms around it.
Okay.
And it's very like flowy, coming out of, I assume, the subconscious. That's where I have figured so far. That's also what the surrealists do.
Okay.
I have further theories as to where it comes from.
Would you class yourself as a surrealist?
I think so.
Or abstractist? I don't know if that's a word.
I would say surrealist oil painter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. And so when I'm just doing these free illustrations, I feel like it's coming from that collective subconscious space, or even from an astrological lens, the transits that are currently influencing me, I can feel them, and that will influence what I'm drawing.
Okay.
The color choices I make, the composition, everything. Yes. I've forgotten the question.
That's okay. That's okay. It was the question was more around now that you're open to receiving information, vibrations, and frequencies around you. How does that flow into your artwork?
I think it's just more of a surrender, like not trying to control as much. Just letting the pen do what it wants, show me what it wants, and then I see the picture in its final form, and then I meditate with the picture and I know what colours need to go there. I see the colours appear before me and I'm like, right, I just have to mix that to match what I've seen. And then that is done. Yeah. I'm just filling in my illustrations with colour.
No. Okay. So instead of going, I must have 71 brush strokes here and then 23 over here, you
It's
just...
all feeling, like
Right,
what feels
okay,
nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's what emotion it evokes from you?
Yes. And that's why when I
Right.
date the backs of my paintings, like on the back of...
On the back of the big one?
Yep.
Okay.
It's got
Let's have a look. Oh, sorry.
some of the current transits.
So
It's all in symbol form.
So we have on the back there. Again, we'll go to the wide. So we've got the name, which you mentioned before, being spiritual warfare.
Yep.
And then we've got what looks like a weird H, some kind of V, another H, and then something that looks like water.
Okay, wait, where are you looking?
I'm looking at the H, the V, an H, and then
Oh my
something that
lord.
looks like
No.
water.
Okay, so it's Pisces, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. So
Right.
those are just the symbols for the zodiacs.
Oh,
It's
okay,
just
right.
like short form handwriting, but in the astrological language.
So if someone else was into astrology,
Yes.
and on the same level that you are, would they be able to look at this and understand exactly what was going on? Is that what that would tell them?
Like experientially, in my experience?
Yes.
If they were super like tuned into the feeling space of like, oh, I know what Jupiter, like for instance, that first line of symbols, Jupiter conjunct the midheaven at 28 degrees of Pisces. So if you understand and you can like feel those energies of
Yep.
what like Pisces feels like, what the 28th degree feels like, what a conjunction with the midheaven and Jupiter feels like, you could probably get a good idea of like what the experience is.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
oh man, that's really cool.
Cool.
Wow. So that's what that, and then what does the? Can you? How about we just break down all four of them, please?
Should I communicate what they mean in
Yeah,
English?
my
Okay.
God, please. I
So-
feel like I'm looking at symbols going, is this just like random runes thrown on the ground? I'm going to pick this up.
Okay, so the second line.
Yes.
Jupiter conjunct my natal sun at 0 degrees of Aries. And
So the V is the Aries symbol.
yes, the ram.
The ram.
Yep.
See? I'm picking it up. I'm getting intelligent.
Yeah.
I'm not. Who am I kidding? But carry on. So then we've got...
Neptune.
oh, hang on. Yep, Neptune, because the
Yep.
pitchfork.
Yes.
The trident.
Yes. Conjunct
Conjunct
the midheaven.
midheaven with Jupiter at 28 degrees.
It's a zodiac sign.
It's a zodiac sign.
Starts with a P.
Pisces?
Yes.
At 28 degrees.
Yes.
Nailed it. I'm so glad I didn't say the four horsemen of the apocalypse. All right. What is the last one? Looks like an H, but like a T.
Saturn retrograde in the 8th house at 13 degrees of Aquarius.
Aquarius. Water.
Yes.
Hey.
Air.
Aquarius?
Yes, it's the water bearer, but they're not touching the water. The air doesn't like to touch the water. They're separate from it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The air rules the mind, and the water is the feeling body, but the mind doesn't like to go near the feeling space. So they don't touch it.
I have to say. So, one of the things that we like here, and one of the reasons we do these podcasts, is so we all get to learn something. I don't know about you guys. I have learned a shitload out of all
That's
this.
fantastic. Cool.
That is unreal. So,
what I explained,
yes.
I feel those different things, and I
Yeah.
consciously tune into that and try and work with those energies to reach what I perceive the potential of what I'm able to work with at any moment in time.
And so, by having that information on the back, that's you going, this is what I'm seeing.
The energy, it's coming
Yes.
through me, it's coming
Yes.
through my paintbrush onto the canvas, and
Yes.
that's that painting.
Brilliant.
Yeah, a culmination.
So that was, now I'm going to try and throw something out here so I don't sound too ignorant.
That's cool.
Is there the 4 lines because the painting was done in 4 stages?
No.
Okay.
Those were just the most dominant energies that were like
Right.
screaming out in my chart.
Okay. Thought it might have sounded intelligent there. Guess
It was
not.
a good guess.
Thank you. I like that. Yeah, it really was. I tried to be educated about it. That is, I mean, that okay.
That one, hadn't started this dating system for that one. That was quite an old painting.
For everyone that's been watching, this is the one that's been sitting in the middle. This one is called Death to the Lady of Fire.
That was an original illustration that I had done. This is a painting of the illustration that I done in lockdown, in that first lockdown.
Oh, so this is it?
This was one of the first drawings that I had done when I was going through the whole thing. And Mike's like, why don't you paint your illustrations? And I was like, amazing. Because then he's like, then you don't need to think about what you're going to paint. You already know. You just draw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It like cut out this whole thing. Yeah.
Wow. So that is the first.
Not the first illustration, nah. Just from that first grouping.
From that first batch.
Yeah.
Right. The initial drawings.
Yes.
Wow. Do you have like, Picasso had his blue period, and other artists have had different periods that they've had. Is this? Do you call that first batch like the living in the middle of fucking nowhere period?
I hadn't. No, I hadn't. I'm just learning how to paint period.
Right. Okay.
Like simple backgrounds, gradated backgrounds, couple figures, but then as we go, like this is more recent. And
how long ago is this one?
This one was a couple weeks ago.
Oh wow!
I do a painting a day, so I'm trying to like that. That was a couple weeks ago, and that was the first painting I'd done. This was, if you do classify as like new periods of like your painting journey, this was the start of a new one where I integrated a lot more characters, and I just drew on a bigger board. I moved to a bigger piece of board and just drew for as much as I felt like drawing. Yeah.
I'll get you to just grab your mic.
Sorry.
That's okay. And just point the microphone part to you. Yeah, it all moves. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm sure the guys will be thanking you for that. So when we do the audio, no, they're not looking at you funny.
Right.
They're still looking at me about that weird meth reference I had earlier.
It's back.
It is. I referenced it again. They're like going, can you just move on, please?
Yeah.
A painting a day.
Yes.
How hard is that to actually do? Now, the reason I ask is that we have a mutual friend, Michael Boter. Mm-hmm. And he tried to do, I don't know, sorry, I say tried. I'm sorry, Mike. I believe he went through a period where he wrote like a poem a day or a short story a day. How hard is that, and how much discipline do you have to actually have to be able to pull something like that off?
I feel like once you form the habit, apparently a habit only takes 21 days to create. It's just do it. Like I wake up in the morning, like I'm getting ready to go to my studio to make my painting. I've got my boards prepped, ready to go. So I think what my mentor Mike McCarthy says is support yourself as an artist. So always have heaps of boards of various sizes prepped, ready to paint on. Make sure you've got like enough ink, pen nibs, like paint. Everything you need has to be fully stocked. So all that's missing is you sitting down at the desk and doing the work. So I mean, I enjoy it. It's fun. Like it's not work for me. It's just painting. And as soon as I pick up the pen and start working with the ink, stuff always comes out. I don't have to be worried about running out of ideas. And then, I don't know. It's just, I just do it.
Walk me sort of through your process.
Okay.
If you actually have one.
How many details, like how deep do you want to...
You get to your studio and you've got your various bits of board or is it board
hardboard.
Or hardboard?
Yeah.
And you've got all your paints
Yeah.
and all your brushes and your pens and what makes you go, today I'm going to pick the medium board with the thick nib.
It's just feeling.
It is really
I go
just
over to my
feeling.
boards and I'm like, what one feels like it wants me to paint on it today? Big one, okay. Small one, okay. You know.
It really is.
I'm feeling, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Are there... this is going to be a cheeky question. Are there any boards that have been left out?
Oh, I have...
Like you go, that board has a bad energy, we need to...
No.
Leave that one to one side.
No. There's a cupboard in my studio and it's filled with all of my rejected paintings or poorly prepped boards where I've chosen just the real lame colour. Yeah.
Is that how simple it is?
Yeah.
You go, I've done my painting for the day.
Yeah.
But this is pretty pants. I'm not happy with that.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm halfway through it and I'm like, this is going nowhere. But
Wow.
The thing is, the paintings that I hate the most, or the drawings I hate the most, those are the ones where people like, particularly, they're like, I love that. That's great. And I'm like,
Really?
I have that is so confusing for me. How do I? And then Mike's like, yeah, just don't throw anything away. And I'm like, what?
Do you have anything like that here?
Probably.
Now we've got this little magic box. I would be very, very interested to see.
Like this one.
Okay,
that one.
Let's have a look.
I despise. That's just personally.
I'm going to hold that up to my camera.
This one is another example.
I have two hands. So we have two here.
Oh, there's more.
You've bought... Wow. So what... Okay, let's focus on these two.
Okay.
What is it about these two that you went, yeah, nah?
Just doesn't feel nice. For me, it doesn't feel like what I want my stuff to feel like. But then that's obviously indicating to me it's just a feeling that I'm suppressing slightly, and it makes me feel uncomfortable, and it's reflecting that to me in my artwork. I think that's how I interpret it.
Okay. And
because people have looked at those,
yeah.
they're like, I really like those.
I think that one's quite cool. That's very weird.
Is it dated on the back with astrology?
Yes, it has symbols.
Okay, Sun and Libra, Moon and Taurus. Yeah.
Taurus. That's probably why I like it. That's probably why I like it.
Interesting.
That's very cool. So with this particular piece, because there's obviously the symbol of Taurus in there. How do you think that's? No, actually, that's a better question. Sorry, I've just thought of that. Do you find that certain people gravitate towards certain pieces of art based on
Their signs.
Yeah.
From what I've noticed so far, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. So now this smaller one here, this one is... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm not wearing my spectacles.
That's all right.
Sun and Leo, 2022.
So a Leo would probably be... What statistically?
I don't know about statistically, but I mean, there could be heaps of different variables that go into someone liking that.
Because obviously, I like this one.
Yeah.
And which one is the symbol for... Yes, sorry, you
like,
go.
As I'm painting this, I'm obviously in it's Leo season. The sun's going through Leo. The sun's going through Leo on my chart and aspecting different planets at different degrees.
Yes.
So it's a very like personal experience, but what people experience Leo energy as is very like universal. So there's something within that energy that's come through that can be connected to everyone, no matter what sign you are, no matter who you are. Because everyone has Leo in their chart.
Is this another recent one?
Well, we're in Scorpio now, so yeah, a couple months ago.
Okay, right, yep. Because it's got 22 on the back,
3 months
so it was
ago.
obviously done this year.
Yeah.
And this one was done this year as well, right?
I mean, I only started doing paintings and stuff in March, so...
Of this year?
Yeah, so they're very...
Really?
It depends on how recent is, you know what I mean? For me, a month ago is like kind of old, you know what I mean?
A month is old.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's like 30 paintings, you know what I mean? And the amount that you can improve in 30 paintings is obvious, I think.
Yes. Just suddenly feeling old at 47 and you said a month's old. Thanks for that. Isn't it funny how when you're young, the subject of time changes? Mind you, I remember
being
your age.
Well, a month for me, and I'm 24, is like a lot more than a month for you.
It's like a lifetime. Yeah, no, because a month for me feels like I've blinked.
Yeah.
And it's over. Is that because I'm on the downward journey of my life? As I slowly wind down. Like the sands through the hourglass, so are the tastes of our lives. Producer Andrew is just like, well, this has just evolved once again. This is unreal. But no, I do like that. And I do wonder if it is because it's a Taurus.
You can have it if you want to.
No!
It pains me to look at.
It pains you to look at.
Some of the paintings.
That's very kind. Thank you very much.
I mean that in like, I'm not passing off like trash, but like if you bond with it, then feel free.
Here's some shit
you know
I
mean?
don't want.
It came out wrong.
No. That's okay. But thank you.
gift.
That's very
There you
cool.
go. Yeah.
I thank you. I actually very much appreciate that. That's actually very cool. Now, you and I met in very unusual circumstances.
Yes.
10 days. About 10, give or take
Okay.
10 days. About 10 days. So by the time this podcast comes out, it'll have been a couple of months. But we met when Michael Bota was doing his second reading of a scary short story at the Quarry Arts Centre. Now, there was yourself. So you guys had Michael was doing a reading of one of the short stories from his book, The Devil Made Me Do It. Great book. Highly recommend checking that out. The Devil Took Her, sorry. Very, very good short stories. Some genuine creepers in there as well. And there was yourself and Shane Evans doing some drawings that night. And as Mike's reading, that you guys are drawing some of the stuff. Now, what I felt was really, really interesting was your styles.
Okay.
Fundamentally
Opposite contrast.
very, very different. Yours was all what did I say that night? It was the Beatles, Yellow Submarine. You know, we all know the Beatles went through that really crazy acid stage, right? Where everything was just weird and bizarre. Like, We All Live in a Yellow Submarine, I Am a Walrus, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. All of that sort of stuff. It very much had that feel, all right? Which I think is actually reflected very, very well in this piece down there. And then you had polar opposite on the other side from Shane, where you had... it was all very structured, and you could watch Shane go, well, I've got a knife here, because it referenced something in the story that Mike was telling. And then he was drawing a hand, but then he would work out where the hand came down, like the fingers, I think it was. It was super interesting to see your contrasts, because you were very flowy, and you very much dominated
Oh my god, I was drawing, so I'm creeping onto his half.
Yeah,
Rein it back, Ash.
It was just really, really interesting to see the two different styles. They're very juxtaposed against each other, but they both told a very fascinating story. My question is, were you listening to what Mike was saying and the energy that was being put out and then drawing, or were you more focused just on where your body energy was at that time?
I feel like I was tuning into like the energy of Mike himself and like the tones to which he was reading his story in. And then occasionally I'd dip into the actual words he was speaking, but it was mainly just like feeling the vibes and then drawing as a result of what that felt like. So I'd get like images flash up in my head as he was reading, even if it wasn't expressed in the story, it still was like fitting. Things like symbolic things like candles, knives, horror related things that make you feel a bit it was like,
or icky.
Yeah. I was drawing the ick. Yeah,
That's a great way to put it. Now, Mike put the artwork up on Facebook, didn't he?
Yeah.
So if people want to have a look, they can go search Facebook under Michael Bota, Botur, and they'll actually find that image. Apart from that, what else are you working on that is cool that people should know about?
A few things.
Yes.
So the main one that I'm putting energy into at the moment is I've written a book, and the book is consisted of illustrations and poetry, but the poetry it's like free writing by looking at my illustration, tuning into the feeling of the illustration, and then just typing out the words that like come through.
Yes.
And it kind of makes sense once you see it. So I'm working on turning that from it's all ready in my computer to a physical book form. And I'm also working on learning how to screen print, so I can screen print some of my illustrations onto like t-shirts, because there's a exhibition coming up in January that me and Mike are having a joint exhibition, and I just want like a clothes rack with some cool like t-shirts with my illustrations.
So of like the images that you've got.
Yeah, just my doodles. Like I've got hundreds of them, so it's cool to do something
Really?
with them. Yeah.
That is really cool. So you're teaching yourself how to do that?
Yeah. So I'm just like putting the feelers out at the moment. Yeah.
Far out.
So I've got markets every Saturday, the artisan markets. I just sit there and either paint or sculpt with clay in person, and I do like astrology readings at the artisan markets. And then Mike's sitting there painting as well, just waiting to like see if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
So that's going all the way through till April.
Where are the artisan markets held? Because they used to be down by the Canopy.
Canopy Bridge, yeah.
Yeah, but then they got moved to Rayburn House for a little while, didn't they? Next
I don't
door
know.
there.
I wasn't doing it then. This is my first time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but they're back at the Canopy now.
Yes, yep.
Right. Okay,
So
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's
they're every Saturday, every second
Every
Saturday.
Saturday. At some point it's switching to every second Saturday, but I'm not sure when that is.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, kind of every Saturday.
Up until Christmas, I think it's every Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And beautiful weather at the moment as well.
Yeah.
People can like get out on the Saturday morning.
Yeah, there was one Saturday where we were like dramatically, desperately trying to hold on to our gazebos so they wouldn't fly off the bridge. But that was the
Extra
oddity.
windy. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. And anything else that you have going on at the moment? Are you still doing a painting a day?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So just doing a painting a day. More like me looking at my chart, seeing my transits, just seeing there's like potential at the moment for some pretty cool things to happen. So just being open, saying yes to everything, and then allowing it all to work out how it will.
However the universe decides.
Very fluid.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
How are with the book? Are you going to look at self-publishing or?
I think so.
Okay.
I just want to make like 25 copies to start with. Have them at that gallery exhibition. Like hand bind them myself. Like make a real art book.
Right.
Yeah, the whole construction and everything.
Buy a book, buy a t-shirt combo.
Yeah, who knows?
Wow.
Just have stuff available where people are like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that's coming up?
Not that I can think of. Just the markets, the exhibition. Yeah, that's about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ash,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming in today. Look, I really appreciate it. It's been a huge eye-opener again for me. I can honestly say I've learnt way more than what I had originally anticipated.
Cool.
We all love learning,
Yeah.
and that's why we do this podcast. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing who you are, your passions as well, and for people watching on YouTube as well, they get to see all of this wonderful art. Now, they can find you at the Artisan every Saturday.
Yep.
From
It honestly, the hours change every weekend, so but we're always
Like-
there at about 1 p.m. That's a consistent time that it's always
Okay.
open. So sometimes it opens at 6 a.m. Sometimes it opens at like 11 a.m. It's
so let's say
changeable.
lunchtime.
Go at lunchtime and
Go
we'll
at
be setting up at
lunchtime.
least.
That's it.
Yeah.
And see some amazing, and I will say this, very unique pieces of artwork, because these are they're unlike anything I've seen before, and I do not say that in a negative way. I say that in a way that has just completely floored me.
That's cool.
This is unreal, mind-bending.
Wicked.
Definitely a lot of it.
Cool.
So again, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Wow, man, Ash Ellis,
Yeah.
that was so out of the gate.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the best way possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
She is super open. Like there's not a topic she shies away from.
No.
She talks about her journey into art. It's like 2.5 years deep.
Yeah.
You know?
And only really painting since March.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
and to see how good she is at it. Like
it's
that one in
mad.
the centre here was just. I asked her after the podcast. I was like, "How much?"
yeah.
She's like, "I've priced that one real high. I like that one."
I want to keep that one, but that one in the middle, for anyone that's that listens to the podcast, I would highly recommend if you can watch it on YouTube, because the art you'll have a really good understanding
Yeah, exactly.
of what her art style is like. Very like surrealist, 100%.
Yeah.
She referenced Salvador Dali,
Yeah, and
right?
that was evident. As soon as she said that, it started to make a lot of sense
Yeah,
for me. Yeah,
for me it did as well, when
Yeah.
she's talking about the melting clocks, which is obviously what he's most famous for. And I was like, you can totally see. It's almost like she just literally took the top of her head off and just went, "What's this?" And it just became art.
Yeah, it's wicked. And how she draws her inspiration was quite cool.
Yeah,
Like,
very in touch with nature, very spiritual.
Yeah, and I'm not a very spiritual person, but I kind of got a lot of what she was going on about and how it influenced her. It's really cool to think. Like she reads a lot into her charts and stuff, and she tries to channel those energies, and it's really cool. Well, she doesn't try, she does.
Yeah.
So
What was the biggest takeaway for you out of it?
What she studied, because I kind of ended up in conservation, right?
Yeah.
And we study the movement of water as well. And she studied, what was it? I can't even remember how to pronounce it. But
I struggled with it even during the podcast.
Fluvial morphology, I think it was.
Fluvial water.
No, fluvial water morphology, I think it was.
Yeah, that sound.
Yeah.
I wanted to say. Oh God, I wanted to say fluvial water mythology, but it's not mythology. Just go back and listen. You'll get it, because I cock a lot of things up in this podcast.
So yeah,
really make a meal of it.
Yeah, and like just hearing how she was academic.
Yeah.
Got into lockdowns, was in a situation where the energy was high, albeit kind of almost, she described it as almost a negative high. And,
Yep.
And then for her to just go, I'm going to channel that through art, and then just boom, a switch.
for I think the big one for me was she had no background in art whatsoever. The majority of the people we've had on the podcast have started art at a young age, or they kind of discovered it in high school and went from there. She was through high school, she was just incredibly studious. Yeah. She was a house captain. Super academic. Discovered astrology kind of late in the game. Because bear in mind, she's in her early to mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
So she's lived a hell of a life.
Yeah.
And she discovers astrology, and then she goes off to do criminology down in Auckland.
Yeah.
Again, very, very sort of studious. But then, as she put it, criminology isn't as
data heavy.
Data heavy as what
analytic.
As what I guess like myself had thought, more high concept sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you could almost see that was kind of the pivot point where she went from being very, very studious and just kind of tipped over the edge and started diving a little bit more into being more spiritually aware, which is how she describes herself. And I know in this podcast we kind of jump around a little bit, but you could almost see that once she starts on that journey, she kind of continues on, and then she discovers her art. When we hit the first lockdown, as you said, to where she is now, she's got a studio at the
Quarry
Arts Centre.
Yeah. And like hearing her influences, albeit in a different medium, are similar to mine. Because for a period there between albums, you kind of write your own shit. And I started listening to like your Alan Watts and your Terence McKenna. I wrote a song called Flux, and me and Steve jumped on it together. Yeah. And that's a lot of like real conceptual shit, on the same sort of level as what her art says. So it was just really, just weird to hear that that spoken kind of philosophic stuff can influence you in all ways.
Yeah, and obviously you guys have two very different artistic outputs. The fact that you guys are able to find that common bond and similar philosophers.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really hear that up here either. Too many people don't really slow down, I guess,
No.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Where can people find this amazing podcast?
So, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, you can find us at Northland Artists Conversation. On audio, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. That's at Northland Artists Conversation. And you can also get in touch with us if you're an artist in the region that wants to reach out. If you're an artist that's coming into the region that wants to reach out and do a podcast with us, the email is hello@northlandartistsconversation.co.nz. So,
yeah.
Back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much. And if you're someone that wants to support the podcast a little bit more, we appreciate every comment, every thumbs up, every like, share, and subscribe that we get. It means a lot. And if you want to support the podcast a little bit more, we also have a Patreon account. Patreon is where you can financially contribute to keeping this podcast going, which is amazing. We have 2 tiers. First tier is a cup of coffee, and that's $5 a month. Second tier is what we've called Coffee Addict, and that's $20 a month. But the Coffee Addict one gives you a couple of extra perks that you don't get with the cup of coffee one. One of the ones that we're going to be doing a bit more regularly is letting people know what artists are coming out at what time, and also what artists are coming up. So if you want to ask have me ask a particular artist a question, you just simply sign up for the Patreon at the Coffee Addict level, and then that gives you email access, and you can flick an email question that way. We have 2 patrons, and I would like to send huge shout outs to Lauren Roach for being the OG patron sponsor. Thank you very much. And Michael Boda. And what's really cool is they've both been guests on the show, which is super cool.
Indeed.
And where you find us is you go to www.patreon.com/Northland Artists Conversation, or simply go to Google, type in Patreon, that's Patreon, and then do a search by Northland Artists Conversation, and you'll find us there.
Wicked.
Man, hard to believe it's December. It's a crazy time.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very cool. What are you looking forward to about December the most?
Hopefully the weather picks up a little.
Yeah,
I'm really over this wishy-washy shit we're stuck in now.
Yeah, it's really been sort of a funny time. Like we've had sun and heat and humidity, and then we had rain.
And then more humidity, and then a little bit more sun.
Yeah, now
we've got wind and rain.
Yeah, it's so piecemeal at the moment.
Yeah,
none of it makes
any sense. And you can't plan shit. Like I like to fish at this time.
Yeah,
but like I don't want to get blown off the rocks.
Yeah. I think the one thing I'm looking forward to the most is actually getting to the beach.
Yeah, that'd be wicked, because I've only been like twice this year. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out to Marapuri.
Yeah.
Just spending a lot of time in the waves.
Hearty.
That's it's my happy place.
Yeah. I like a bit of body surfing.
Yeah.
My son, once he's at the beach, he never gets out. So,
hey man, kid's onto something.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, here we are. Straight to the wide. My name is Mark Kelly,
and I'm Andrew McKenzie.
Thank you very much for tuning in to the Northland Artists Conversation, and we will see you guys real soon.